Hey, and welcome to another episode of Real Conversation. I'm your host, Nicole Jones,
And I'm Quana Terry.
and we would like to thank you guys for joining us here tonight at Real Conversations. Hey, Quana, what's going on? Girl, listen, I
So,
cannot get enough of this haircut. It looks amazing
uh,
on you.
oh, thank you so much. It
Beautiful.
definitely is. This is my due. This is my hair. This is how I feel good with it, and I'm like, yes, I'm so happy that I was able to cut it and just have a different look. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we need something fresh,
Absolutely.
some edgy. So, but how are you doing, cuz?
I am good. I feel amazing. I'm already tanned down here in the south because it's been like 80 something degrees every single day. But other than that, just peachy. Thanks for asking.
Girl, you have 80 degrees. I think we had a day of maybe like 70, 72 here, and it went back down to like 40 or 50, and I'm like, come on, winter, fight. I mean, spring, fight back. Like, come on, fight back. Winter is winning right now. Fight back. I just need it to get warm. I need at least 7 consecutive days of spring like weather, so then I can change out my clothes, my coat, things of that
Mhm.
nature. I just wanted to just like get warm already. And I also want to go to the Sunflower Maze in New Jersey, which is a
Ooh.
that I absolutely love to go. It's such a beautiful sight to see all of the sunflowers in the field. It's like rows and rows and rows of sunflowers. And
Hmm.
it's such a beautiful thing. You just
Take a
have to worry
picture for
about,
me.
huh?
Take a picture for me.
I sure will. And if anybody wants to go to the Sunflower Maze, I believe they're operational all year, but it's best to go between, I believe, May and September, because of course, the weather is pleasant. I wouldn't go in like July and August; it's hot. But go into like May and a little early June. It's such a wonderful sight to see. The only thing that is a nuisance are the bees, because there's so many bees, and you have to make sure that you're wearing the right clothing. What I have on now would not be okay for that, because the bees will be coming on me trying to thinking I'm a flower or whatever. But it's such a beautiful thing, a sight to see. So I will take pictures and video when I do go there. But so I'm looking forward to that, and looking forward to the weather breaking as well. So
Girl, I just had a vision of you wearing that dress, running. Get away from me! Get away from
girl, I rebuke that. I rebuke it in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Okay,
That's the
rebuke it.
picture. I'm so
Child,
sorry.
I get there with like beige, or I usually have like beige or white, because if you see the beekeepers, they have the nets on over their heads, but they are wearing all white,
Yeah, they
right?
do.
Because so it's
Yeah.
kind of like deflecting it, and they're not
Mhm.
seeing you in that way. So yeah, girl, but it's oh my gosh, it's so beautiful there. So I cannot wait until it's time for me to get out there and see all the sunflowers. So
Me too. I wish I was there so I can
yeah,
see it
girl,
myself.
I love them.
Listen, I
Oh,
love sunflowers. I've never seen them in a field though.
oh,
Never. Like I've never seen a bunch of You see a bunch, like see them together because where I worked in Westbury, people
uh-huh.
had them,
Yes.
and they get really really tall,
Yes, they
and
do.
it's very beautiful the way they slump over and stuff like that. But to see a field of them, I've only seen that in like a movie. I've
Oh,
never seen it personally, and I love that.
oh, you have to. Once if you make a trip back up to up north, we should go, especially if it's in the summer. But I would most certainly check out any that's near you. So there might be a maze near you, a sunflower field near you that
You're
you can
right.
go to as well. So I would check that out, because so
Right.
just that it's there. They do exist. So check them
Hmm.
out, see if it's near you. So.
It's funny that you said that because when you come down, there's a what's it called, ATV, the ATV.
Oh, really?
Girl, right here. ATV, it's a black owned farm. And
Uh-huh.
they do horseback riding and ATVs. And it's crazy because when Naya and I went to the baby shower, we were driving on the back streets, and what do we see? A bunch of ATVs, and we was like, "Wait a minute, where are they coming from?" And I happened to see it today on Instagram.
I did those ATVs, child. We did that in Dominican Republic, and my thumb was so tired from pressing on the thing. I was like, "This ain't it. Like, I don't like this. I don't like this." The man was like,
No,
"You okay?" I was like, "No, give me a new vehicle. I don't want it. Give me a steering wheel. Give me a steering wheel." And he most certainly came up. He radioed somebody, and they got us the ATV with I had like a Jeep, it wasn't an ATV. It was a Jeep. I was in the steering wheel. Like, let me tell
oh
you,
wow,
all the friends that I went with, they got off their hands was like this. Like the cow.
that's
I
too
was cracking
funny.
up. I said, I'm not playing around with you. You're not trying to give me no carpal tunnel from no ATV. That ain't
Oh,
gonna happen. So I said,
I want to
let me
ride it.
definitely check this out.
I've never,
Huh?
so I want to ride it. Yeah, I never rode it before, so
Oh, you'll have a good time. Yeah, you have a good
really
time.
looking forward to that. You heard
Yeah.
what I said? Hint, hint. When she come down
I
here,
heard. Did you see my eyes was like real
yes.
shifty? Yes, ma'am.
When she comes down here, we gonna take a trip. We gotta go to Atlanta Beltline. This is
Listen.
supposed to be like very festive on the Beltline, so we gonna do that too. When that
Okay.
day
All
comes, it's always hot,
right.
day, so it doesn't matter.
Whatever, whenever. All right, we got it. So,
Yes,
oh man, oh yeah, it should be fun when I get down there. But yeah, so everyone, again, welcome to Real Conversation. We are going to talk about some real things today. And Nicole,
yes, ma'am.
what do you got for us?
Oh, we're gonna be talking about compatibility today, okay? There are levels to this. It's real honest conversation series about how relationships evolve beyond attraction. It
Mhm.
explores how people connect, clash, grow, and sometimes outgrow each other. Okay, so I came across a video that I think that, we all can relate to. Uh Tyler Williams is in it. I think we all know him from, I think, what is it? Everyone hates Chris.
Everybody
Everyone.
hates Chris.
Mhm.
Hmm. And he also plays now, I think, in a show called Abbott Elementary.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the clip so you guys can all know what it is that I'm talking about. But I think we can all relate to it. Hold on one second.
We can afford $400 extra.
No, I can't.
Well, we can.
No, we cannot, Gregory. The math isn't there. I mean, I'd have to take another job, take out a loan, hit the pole.
Jenny, you do
The
realize that we would be
pole.
splitting the rent, right?
Whoa, oh.
Did you get so used to Tariq
Light
not
bulb.
contributing that you forget that I got a job?
And like utilities, we'd be splitting those too?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That changes everything, okay? Does Philadelphia have castles? Because like, I want to look at those.
Let's start with the one in your building first, but sure.
Okay. Whoa. I'll get all the toilet paper though. I have to do that.
We can split that too.
Look at her face.
I feel seen.
Ooh, right. Listen, when you dealt with a one-sided relationship where everything is all on you, I can understand, I can relate to where she's coming from in regards to, you see how when he said we can do an extra $400. She was like, no, I mean, I can't do that because if I do that, I can get another job. I got to hit the pole.
You got to do some exchange for a piece of change. You know, I'm always clowning. Always clowning.
Listen, we can definitely relate to how when that light bulb went off in her head, like, wait a minute,
Like, I have help. Like,
I
there's
have
help here.
help. It
Yeah.
is it is so different when everything is split across the board. there's no burden there. Like, you guys can actually survive. You're doing more than surviving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
What do you think about that? Do you think it's a healthy relationship when you're splitting things 50-50? Like, how was that decided?
I do think that it's healthy, but I also think, like, I, it, I think it's an equal balance. So even if, like, let's say if someone couldn't do 50-50, it's still not all on one person. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever your relationship, you guys know what it is that you can and cannot do, right? If someone makes if someone makes 150,000 a year and the other one makes 50, you don't think that that person who makes 50 is going to be 50-50 with you. That's just ridiculous, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still just being able to supply some help, whatever it is. It's showing that you're all in here. You're not just holding a hand out or making the other person, just the burden all on them. Because I've seen um someone's relationship go through that, where, let's say, everything was on him and he had a good job, but whatever it is, they had kids or whatever the case may be. And when it came down to, like, I want to say maybe they rent went up or something like this, but there was an eviction notice on the door. You know, Whenever something like that happened, he didn't speak to his wife about it. He just handled it, but he was still stressing. He had to take an extra job on, or whatever the case may be, just to get it done. And it's not saying because she had a job.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you, like, he shouldn't have to feel like it's all on him, right? He's a man. He's going to do what he's going to do. Men are here to protect and provide. But guess what? They also need someone to have their back as well, just like we do, right? So, I think we as women, instead of allowing the men to do everything, yeah, you're going to let your man do what he do, but you just let him know, listen, hey, I'm here, you know what I mean? Or, you got that, let me do this.
Yeah. I agree with that. I never want to put a percentage on it, right?
Right.
If anything, we're giving our all to this relationship, whatever that may be, right?
Mhm.
And again, you use the example, if he were to make more money than her, and then of course it could be vice versa too. She could make more money than
Absolutely.
him, but at the same time, I think it's really about communication and understanding, like, hey, I got your back, you got my back.
Mhm.
And whatever it is, we put these funds together, here you go. We're going to pay it just like that. Whatever I can give is whatever the bank account says, is that's
Mhm.
what we're going to use. And if you have any side stuff, that's on you. But I feel like your paycheck, has to come into the household. And if you decide, hey, 15% will go to my personal savings, right?
Mhm.
15% will go to my personal savings, 15% go to your personal savings, and everything else that's left over, hey, this is what we're going to put into the bank account for the household. It's just a matter of communication because, again, like you said, you can't expect somebody to give 50% of or pay 50% of the bills if they're making less than you're making.
Yes.
It's just a matter of really being, of course, communicating about it, but then also being honest with each other about what you actually have. And it's important. I like the way he put it. That means we can do it.
Right.
We can do it. I'm like, that was wonderful. I was like, I feel seen. That was one.
It's
That was a
true
wonderful
though.
way to put it because that means, hey, listen, even if that 50% is not there, that I still got you. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what you can give, because I think that when you put a percentage on it, when somebody can't give that 50%, right?
Yes.
That sometimes it's a breakdown of the relationship when that person can't contribute what you guys agreed upon in the beginning. But it's like, no, just put everything together and we'll work it out.
But
Whatever it may be, we're gonna work this out.
yes,
um
I've heard about that too. Like, so you have the people who, when it's all on one person, then you have it where people come together and they, make it work, and then you have it where one person has more than the other, and then there's that tension because just because I make more doesn't mean I'm supposed to be giving more. Like you have to find somebody who is compatible with you in every area. You know,
Hmm.
it has nothing to do with how cute they are. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with how handsome they are, how strong they are, how good they look, in their clothes. They got a big, body. What? It doesn't matter. It doesn't. It doesn't matter. Like you got to make sure that everything works.
Yeah. And for example, like I had, I'm just going to put myself in it, right? I had a relationship where I was doing a lot of, I was carrying the bulk of the relationship. And for good reason, whatever that reason was, I was carrying it. But when that person got extra money or something like that, they wouldn't put it into the household. And that happened for a couple of months. And I was like, wait a minute, hold up. This arrangement happened because you didn't have, but now you're getting more and you don't put into the household. I feel some type of way. And then
Absolutely.
he said to me, like, well, I figured because you got it. Wait, huh? That's
Yeah.
not how this works. So there was a breakdown there because it's like now you almost get to feeling like, okay, am I being used here?
Yes.
Right. And I never want to feel like I'm being used in a
Yes.
relationship because I don't use anybody in the relationship that I'm in.
Right.
I'm gonna work with you, and it's not so much a compromise, but it is me saying, okay, I see you, I know what you have, but when you get there, I expect for you to do what it is that you need to do for the households.
Agree.
And it just didn't work out like that until I spazzed. And then I fast, and then it was like, oh, I just thought that. Wait, hold up, who even thinks like that? But I think, but there was a breakdown in communication there as well, right? Because I shouldn't have let it go on as long as it did. But
Right.
um, it's that part. So even if he's making 150 and I'm making, say for instance, 80, and then I get a job that has me making 125,
Hmm.
I'm still supposed to contribute most of that, put more into the household now, not just keep whatever extra that I'm making to
Right.
myself. It's selfish.
That's
um
a great example. Yeah.
well, it's selfish, right? And it's
Yes.
like, yeah, things change, and we adapt to the situation, but we also have to be fair to one another. It's
Yes.
important for us to be fair to one another because then you leave that other person who was getting the short end of the stick feeling away, and then that's where
Hmm.
the arguments start. That's where
Yeah.
everything, that's where the breakdown happens. And it's like, come on, stop being selfish. Like, I've carried you, can you come up with me and do what I need to do and give me a break a little, give me a little break.
Yes.
You got to be mindful of one another, and if you're going to handle yourself with care, handle your partner with care too.
But
you
it's so
know
funny that you said that because I know someone who is married. I believe they were both making uh 100K, right? Or in that area, right? Um, they married, 2 kids, house in Jersey, okay? And when he lost his job, mind you, let me step back. So before she made her 100K, he was the one providing, right? She ended up, I think she was in school, then she got a job. She's making 100K with him. They up there. He ends up losing his job.
Okay.
And she became mean towards him because he was no longer able to do the things that he was doing, when he was making his money. And she ended up, I believe, cheating on him or almost cheating on him, something like that. And she just treated him really, really bad. Said that it was not her job to take care of him. This is his wife.
Yeah, so she's not even honoring the vows that she made, for better or worse, in sickness and in health, for richer or poor. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? She's not even honoring that. And and that's just out of order.
Yeah.
Period. But that would have shown him who he married.
That part.
Because it really is about it goes back to who's going to have your back? Is this the right person? Is this the person that's equally yoked with you,
Mm-hmm.
that would, that God has chosen, has selected for you, that would have your back, that would not deceive you or make you, or emasculate you as a man, or make you feel less than as a woman if you can't contribute because of something like that. You know, some things you can't control. If you lose your job, if there's layoffs or something like that, you cannot control that.
Yep.
But at the same time, I understand people not being, there might be a squeeze on the household when one person loses their job. This is the reason why. Let me tell you something, Nicole, and I tell people this all the time. You your mortgage, everything should be based on one income, because if somebody loses it, the other person doesn't have to strain to maintain.
Okay.
You, if you have, if you're making collectively, $300,000, and your spouse, both of y'all are making 150, right? That mortgage should be based on that one salary,
That
so
makes sense.
that if something were to happen, you're still good, you
It's
still can
covered.
truck along,
Right.
just living within the means. And then you're also able to save for retirement, do all the stuff that you need to do. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm making 300,000, let me go and get this big house." Yeah, but consider the fact that this money, especially if you're not working for yourself, this money may go somewhere. The money may be taken out of the household, and now you're trying to figure out how to maintain,
Mm-hmm.
you know it's just about planning and all that other stuff. But also, I don't agree with her doing all of that, because if he held it down, and he was always there for you, I feel like, or there for her, I feel like she should have been more than willing to assist with the household. But a lot of people don't think like that. But it definitely, you show me who you are, I'm gonna believe you, especially where I am now. Like, if you show me that, I'm like, oh, I'm out. So, but you're right, Nicole. I feel, so the 50-50 thing you agree with, or?
So I do agree with it.
Hmm.
I don't. I mean, I agree with you in regards to not putting a percentage on it, because as long as, if I got, we got. If you got, we got. That's just how
Right.
it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I've said that time and time again.
Yeah.
But I do think that, when you're renting or buying or whatever the case may be, um, whatever it is that you, whatever the dollar amount is, it should be collective. It should be both of y'all's. It's as one. So it feels really good to not have to worry about just that one income. You know, I've spoken about this previously. I've been in a one-sided relationship years ago, and where I was paying everything. And you hit something when you said, like, when they get money, you know, or get more money, or a job, or whatever the case may be, um, didn't put anything in the house. Everything was on them, or whatever it is, the extracurricular activities that they chose to do, with that money. And it makes it hard for the person who's sitting up there busting their behind to take care of everything in the household. And I think when it comes to men and women, it's out of order for a man to sit there and allow a woman to do everything. But a woman should also feel the same way in regards to making a man do everything, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, some men, they oh, a lot of men, they want to be that provider. They want to be that person that takes care of the household. And for the most part, that is their role, right? As a
Hmm.
man, that is your role in the relationship. However, we're in an age where there are many different things going on, and the cost of living is expensive, and all of those major factors.
Hmm.
But at the same time, women are also now making nice wage, right?
Yes.
So but before the women stayed home, took care of the kids, and did all of that. Now as women, we're out there, we're CEOs, we're bosses, right?
Yes.
And so the roles haven't reversed, but they just kind of adjusted a little bit.
Yes.
But it is, even if a man is making less, you still have to respect him as the head of household. And
Absolutely.
I think there's a shift somewhere, um, in the dynamic, in a relationship dynamic, especially nowadays, because sometimes it is the woman that's making more.
Hmm.
But just because you're making more doesn't mean that this person is less of a man.
Yes.
And it's just a weird dynamic right now with a lot of the, I guess I would say, the gender roles.
Hmm.
It's a weird thing where we're coming into a place of, you know, people equating respect with money.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't necessarily agree, because sometimes you have that favor, and you were able to get the extra money and get the funds, get the high paying job, and maybe the other person is starting out late, or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. But that doesn't make them any less of a man, or a
I
woman in,
agree.
in many cases.
I
it,
agree.
it's just weird.
Actually, I heard this post that I seen. This lady was saying something similar to what you're saying. Just because she made more to her husband didn't mean that her husband wasn't still the man in the house, and you
Yeah.
still have to respect him as as such. Um, a lot of people want to sit here and just because you make more, you sit there and try to belittle him. You can't belittle this man. Like, how do you expect to talk to your man any kind of way and then expect him, you know, to do what it is that is needed, that is required of him, and when I say what is required of him, doesn't mean that doesn't have a dollar amount on it. you
Yeah.
know he still needs to protecting, providing, and providing can it's just it can mean anything, because my thing is, like, when you guys come together, um you guys are supposed to be one unit. So when you sit up there and you if you're bringing home the most money, it's very possible that he's sitting up there making sure the kids are good, the homework is done, the kids are in bed, or whatever the case however that look. If you can't make the recital, he's there recording the recital to make sure that you see your kid, doing whatever it is being done. Everyone's situation looks different, obviously, but you know we all have a role and we all play that role, and
Yes.
whatever that role may be, whatever it might consist of. But it takes two mature adults to have a healthy relationship. And in order for that to happen, you have to find that person who you are compatible with, because it's all about that. It's the person who you're able to function well with. Okay. And it has nothing to do with how well they sex is, how, it doesn't matter about how much money they have in their bank account. Because if everything, like, flows effortlessly, everything else is gonna go exactly where it needs to go. Because you know why? Because God's gonna make sure that everything flows the way it's supposed to flow.
Yeah.
Am I right, Quana?
You're absolutely right. Where there's chaos, where there's confusion, where there's strife, where there's discord, there's no God. So I feel as if when all of that stuff creeps in, then you gotta double down and take an inventory of what's going on. But I mean, you're right. When it comes to be whether it's, I don't care what it is, it's no person deserves to be treated disrespectfully, because they can't contribute, right?
Right.
Or because of the amount that they contribute, right? Um, if you have if you have a an agreement in place, you know, about who does what and this, that, and the, you know, you run your household the way you run it. That's on
Hmm.
you. But at the same time, you know, be cognizant, be aware of your partner, and understanding, hey, listen, if this goes wrong, if this goes belly up, you got me. And, you know, if you have me, like, what's our escape plan here? What's what's the contingency plan, I like to say, if something were to happen, like, what are we doing? But that takes communication. That
Yeah.
takes you both agreeing on certain things. And it really, I hate to see when women or men disrespect their partners because they feel like they don't contribute to the household, or you know, they think of them less than because of that. It's like, come on,
Or
you
if they
know.
make less, like it doesn't matter if they make less. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Of course, we all want to be able to be millionaires, but we're not, okay?
Mhm.
Not yet anyway. Not
Yes, fix that.
but right, not yet anyway. But I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't matter who makes more. Everyone has an equal part in this relationship.
Yeah.
And you know, we each, you make whatever decision y'all gotta make, y'all supposed to make it together. It doesn't matter who contributes more.
Absolutely. Agreed, agreed. And compatibility, we talked about that, you know. That's how you know whether or not you're compatible with something. That's one of the ways that you can tell. Is that person in fight or flight mode? Like, you know what I'm saying? Is he gonna fight for this thing, or she gonna fight for this thing,
Yeah.
to keep it together and to move forward and push past the difficulties? Or are they on the first thing smoking when things get hard, right?
That's
You
true
know,
though.
huh?
I said that's very true. That's
Like,
that's a true
it's
statement right
true.
there.
Listen, people, like, when things get tough, and like, there's gonna be trials and tribulations. That's what's promised to us. There's gonna be trials and tribulations, but it does. They aren't things that we can't get through together. And if you have a true support system in your significant other, then you're gonna make it through all those tough times and get through the difficult times that will arise. And not saying that they will come, but you gotta get through them together. Yeah, figuring out who you're compatible with is so important.
Yes, it
And you
is.
you were right. It's not about sex, because child.
You have the best sex with a person that's the worst partner. Okay, they treat you like trash. So let's don't
You
don't
are
don't
preaching
use
to
that.
the choir.
Huh?
Preaching. You're preaching to the choir right now, okay? It's
Yeah.
so true. It's so true. And then when you sit back and you think about it, like, what does this person have? You're like, nothing.
Nothing.
Like, what? Like, what was I thinking?
I was like, what is going on here?
As you get older, you know, when you younger, you are like in those things. But I mean, sometimes, you know, when you get older too, you this thing got you seeing stars and stripes, you know, because they be knocking the Mario coins out you. You like, yes. But then you think about it, you like, wait a minute.
She got me with the Mario Kart coins
I'm like,
or
what?
the Sega coins.
Girl, bye. Yeah, okay, you know what I'm saying, though.
I do, I do.
It's just, you gotta be you got
She caught me off guard with that one. I'm sorry,
like,
guys.
you gotta do it right. You gotta judge the character, whether they're honest, whether they have integrity. There's so many things that come along with that. So you have to,
So
like,
true.
put that to the side. I mean, yeah, that's great, but what else? What other things do they bring to the table, right? Because, oh Lord, can I build with that person? Can I do this? Can I be myself with you? There's so many things that you have to think about when choosing a partner, and choosing a partner and having these necessary conversations. I think we all get into these, sometimes we get into these partnerships where we don't really have these conversations. That's why
Hmm.
it's important for us to have these necessary conversations, so you know whether or not this person is for you, you know so
That's a whole fact right there.
yeah, well, I could go on, and I'm not, because we're almost to the ends. Nicole, what do you have? What else do you have in closing?
Um, I mean, all I can say is you just need to make sure that your relationship there's balance, there's effort. It's not one-sided, okay? Um, and just make sure that it's a true partnership in order for, things to flow the way it's supposed to flow, because that means everything. Like Kwana said it earlier, like the person can't, the moment something goes wrong and they want to fly, fly the coop or something like that, get
Hmm.
out of here. Like that's crazy.
Yep.
Like, you know, we need to get out of this era. There's a lot of people now that does little ghosting. That's what they call it, right? Ghosting. They disappear, don't say nothing. Uh, but if they do that, I would say that's your protection.
And that's okay. I think
It's cool. But
sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes, I don't know if it's somebody you dating or whatever else. I mean, I guess they deserve an explanation, but there's certain people I'm just like, I'll wake up one day and be like, yeah, I ain't talking to that person no more.
eh, I mean, but
And that's
if
it.
it's I mean,
Literally, it's like Eureka. Oh, okay, and done. Cut you off.
if you my thing is, I think a person that, let's say you are dealing with that person, right? And I'm not talking about someone that you're just dating or whatever the case may be. Let's say you're talking, you're really in a relationship with this
Oh,
person.
okay.
I
Hmm.
do not think that a person should vanish out of someone's life. I think whatever the issue is, that person is being selfish. They're thinking about themselves, and that they are um maybe there's something that's going on that they don't want to talk about. That's why I'm saying that they being selfish.
Hmm.
Um, it's cool, but let's say usually when the person that does the ghosting, the other person, you know, feel like they did something wrong. So you left, but you're leaving. When you leave the other person, there's no closure for that person. So they're in limbo, and the person who did the ghosting is moving on. It's not fair to that person. Like if you know that you are either, I don't know what a reason. I mean, I'm a Sagittarius. They say we ghost all the time. That's not always the truth, but but I would guess that um like I can say for me, if I'm ghosting somebody, it's not just me just disappearing. It would be if I reach out to you and you like blatantly just disregard whatever it is that I'm saying or whatever the case may be. At least I tried, because I said what I said. You didn't want to hear it, and then that's it. But you got a heads up because I said what I said, right? I guess that's the way I would go. That's the way I would go. So I wouldn't just up and leave.
Mm.
But there are some other people that say something different.
I mean, I definitely will let you know that I cannot continue communication. Um, and if
You
you want
say
to
you will
continue,
what? You
I'll
will let
let you
them know?
know, like, hey, listen, I've decided, whatever that may be. But I cannot continue communication.
Okay.
Um, and if you have a problem with that, I don't think that that's my problem.
That-
Um, and
That's
I just
different though. I like that. That's
I,
okay.
I leave it at that, and even if I appease you with you know, a second text like, hey, listen, it's something I've been thinking about, and then you continue on. I told you I cannot continue. Okay, like what's going on? I'm not gonna go back and forth with you about a decision that I'm making for my life. That's crazy. I'm just
But at
not.
least you said something. It's the
I
it's the
said
people that
something,
don't
I
say
let you
anything.
know,
Yeah.
and I wasn't gonna do that. It's not me, it's you type thing, because I'd be lying. It's not you, it's me, or whatever else. Not you, it's me. No, I'm not doing that. Nope. Mm-mm. I'm letting you know that I
Mhm.
cannot, and that's it. Um, uh, it, God.
Or how about people
Yeah.
who have multiple situations, you know?
Hmm.
That's a little different too. Like people who have you everyone thinks that you're just with them, right? And you don't know how to get out of situations, so you decide to ghost people.
Oh, oh, yeah. I mean, because that's because you weren't being honest in the beginning, right? About your status. If you're gonna
Yes,
see multiple people, first of all, we are grown. If you want to see multiple people, then see multiple people. But
don't
give
lie
the
about it.
people that, but people but give the people that you're seeing a choice to stay with you. The problem is that people don't want to do that. They want to keep this person here, this person there, this person there, but lying about it. And
Yep.
I can't stand a liar.
Ooh,
Oh
you
my
know
God,
I
it
can't stand a liar.
grinds my gears because you don't have to lie. Just tell
Yeah.
me what it is. But the reason why you lie is because you want to have your fun everywhere else. But
Plus, they
here's the
know that
thing.
people are not going to sit there. If you know that a person doesn't want to be in a third party situation and you still put them in a third party situation, you gotta think about that there. You're gonna end up getting karma for that because you taking away people's choices. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And and
That's crazy.
and all of that. And how do I know that I want to be opened up to? How do you know if I want to be opened up to all of that stuff that you got going on? It because you're creating ties here, there, and there.
That
And now
part.
i'm getting
And
i'm
you give
getting
it to
meat
me.
I'm getting meat moved aside the head, because you over there with trashy Tasha. Like, get the hell, like, come on, like, no,
She
like,
said trashy
please.
Tasha.
Like,
She
seriously, like,
said
it
Tasha,
just blows my
Toya,
mind. Sorry, I don't know. I
Tisha,
don't.
everybody.
Sorry, I don't know Tasha. I don't know this. I mean,
No, you said the name, so I'm using all the T names.
Okay, trashy. Oh, Tina, all of them,
Tina, yeah,
Tanya.
everybody.
Like, come on. It's just respect. But the thing about that though, right, is you can't expect respect from somebody who doesn't even respect
That
themselves.
part.
So is
That's
once you
huge.
figure that out, you're like, wait a minute, it's not this
Yeah.
person's fault.
Yeah.
Now I'm out. Once I figure that out, it's like, all right, you know what? I'm not holding you accountable for the stuff that you want to do with your life, but I
That part.
will make the decision for my own life and
Absolutely.
exit stage left because
And
it's
please,
okay.
ladies, when these when these women put y'all in third party situations, please don't go after the person who they're dealing with because it ain't got nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with the person that you are dealing with.
Child, they in the
That's
mirror
the
like, I
deceitful
want her to,
person.
I want her to go. I want her to
Yes.
look ugly. I don't
No.
want him to want her anymore. Sit
No.
down somewhere.
No. It is your person
Uh-uh.
who's being deceitful, okay? It's your person who is responsible for whatever it is that happened. That other
Yeah.
person, the third party, act like you don't even know who the person is, okay? If you happen to find out who that person is.
Because you don't know what that person is telling. You don't know what your significant other, whoever you feel that you with in a relationship with, you don't know what they're telling these women, right? Or
Yeah.
you don't know what they're telling these men, because people,
Out there acting single.
out there acting single, like, but technically, they like, I ain't married, so I'm single.
That part. That part.
There's
That
truth
part.
to it.
Yeah, that is true.
There's truth,
Yeah.
right? I ain't married, but so I'm single. You
But
know
what
what I'm
happens to the
saying?
men who are married that sit there and act like they're still single because they ain't got no ring on, but yet they sitting up there bringing another person into the relationship?
Father God, there's married people in the dating pool. Why is there married people in the
Why?
dating pool, God? Like,
Why?
it's crazy. But we're going off on a tangent.
We
But
dig. We always do that. We so sorry.
but it's all about compatibility, right?
Yes.
The person you go where you're appreciated and not tolerated,
Yes.
right?
For sure.
Did that person want you and you want that person and you agree on the type of relationship that you want? There should be no issues. at least because you're in agreement with each other that you're going to get to know one another, and it's just going to be you and that person.
Yep.
And if you decide to see other people, convey that message to that person so that person knows exactly where they stand with you, and then they can decide whether or not they want to stay in that type of relationship or
And move
exit.
on.
Right.
Yeah, move on.
And it's okay if they move on.
Yeah.
Please, like, please don't get mad if they say, I don't want this. Like, because men are good when they're like, oh,
Woo!
she left me, and she doesn't want to be in this relationship with me.
Quick to say,
Chill,
oh, she's
homeboy.
mine. But who that? How you gonna
Chill.
sit there and say someone is yours, but you sitting up there messing with Sally, Joe, and Susan over there?
Child, I told you, audacity is at 50% off out here in these streets. Okay? Because the way that these people really think that they own and control situations or control people is insane.
Yeah.
Insane. But you know, you live, you learn, and you adapt to the things and stuff that you have learned, and then you figure out what's best for you, and then you move forward knowing that, and then you don't settle for anybody that's trying to manipulate and do all of that mess and do stuff behind the scenes. Child,
Oh
boy,
goodness.
I got
Well,
stories, y'all, but we ain't
we
gonna talk
talking
about
about
that.
compatibility here.
Compatibility stuff.
Listen, when it comes
Oh,
to like cheating and all that other stuff, listen, we got stories for days. We can go on with that. It just is what it is. But just make sure that you have that chemistry with that person. You guys rock together, and everything will just flow. Everything will just effortlessly.
that's right. You have chemistry, you rock, and you agree on the type of relationship that you are going to have going forward, that you're
Yep.
building. Because you need a firm foundation. And if you
Woo!
don't have that,
Everything will
it's
crumble.
it's gonna crumble. So all right, well, thank you so much for watching Real Conversation. Again, my name is Quana Terry.
And I'm Nicole Jones.
And you can find us on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube at real underscore combos underscore podcast. And you can find us on Facebook as well.
At Real Conversations 2021.
So I thank you so much for watching, and God bless.